Walter crawls into the cover. Just Bate still have enough. He does. Somehow Tyler Bate does.
I will never forget this match as long as I live.
Welcome to Last Match Standing, the podcast where we review, relive, and rank the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. As always, I'm Spenser.
I'm a big, strong boy.
And Walter's a wanker.
And we are back for episode 63. And guys, we have a good one from August 31st, 2019 from the Motorpoint Arena in Cardiff, Wales. It's NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. Walter versus Tyler Bate for the WWE United Kingdom Championship.
We made you wait, but we didn't make you wait too long.
That's right. We said it happened, and we did. A big shout out to Ashley, the runner-up in our last patron standing competition. Incredible job with that. But also, he was very, very kind enough to send us some help in finding this Walter versus Tyler Bate match on Peacock.
Ashley, we love you. Thank you so much for finding it, because Lord knows I wasn't going to search through Peacock.
Yeah, and another thing that we heard feedback was, look, there's still folks all across the globe who still have access to the WWE Network, and we thought that was really good feedback, and so we wanted to go ahead and get this match out to you guys for the folks that can see it, and obviously if you can't, thanks to Ash, now there's a way for everyone around the world to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are in the U.S. and you're watching on Peacock, it's on NXT UK's Most Brilliant, episode number 1, I believe. And it's got some really, really cool sort of commentary from Walter and Tyler Bate during the match itself, which is pretty neat. But to Landon's point, it does seem accessible to everyone in some way, which is great.
Although, if you are using a VPN in the United States, you can totally watch the network still, but you have to say that you're in a different country, and then you have to redo. It's a whole thing.
It's a process.
It's a whole process, but it is a lot easier than using Peacock.
You know what else was a whole thing, guys? Was the amount of tears that we shed during our season opener. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 24, and apparently we were not the only ones that shed a couple of tears. Big shout out to @LangTopai on Twitter.
That's an amazing name.
Yes, I've got nothing more to say.
But serious name, silly Twitter.
I loved it. It was very, very nice interacting with you, and you sent the tears, obviously, after watching Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, but also you said, great podcast, been watching some classics lately, and that's all thanks to you guys. So I thought that was very, very nice. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. We love getting feedback, and we love interacting with you, the listeners, as much as we can. So that was really, really fun for us. So thanks a lot.
And hey, coming up, we're going to have a really fun way to interact with the listeners in a new way. We're going to be in Indianapolis at the Squared Circle Expo. Can't wait to meet all of you over there.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, that's this week, guys. I'm going to be so pumped. It's this week. Can't wait to make that 12.5-hour drive.
Do you know who the big headliner is?
King!
God damn it. I hate you. You know who else is going to be there, though?
I thought you were setting me up.
You know who else is going to be there, though? It's Sting!
I thought you were going to, when you said who headlines, I thought you were going to say Last Match Standing podcast.
Well, we're there.
Missed
we're going to be there. We will definitely be there. We are on the
Take that back.
We're on the marquee. We'll be there. We will do some really cool interactive shit.
Yeah, we have some really fun things planned for our booth, for sure.
So if you happen to be in Indianapolis this coming weekend, that's May 14th and 15th, we'll see you there.
And if Darby Allin wants to be interviewed by us, please DM me. Because we will make that happen if you're willing, sir.
Well, with that being said, we are coming off of the heels of not only Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, but also Misawa and Kawada, which was I mean, for us, an honor to be able to cover that match. If I can speak for us in that way.
Oh, absolutely. What a fantastic match. And
Yeah.
totally deserves a spot on this list. And it's really fun to see. And that's one of the things that I wanted to thank all of our listeners for who have interacted with us is we are getting to cover some of the most incredible matches that a lot of the folks who may be listening right now have never even heard of. And so that's one of the things that we wanted to do with this podcast was to branch out, to discover more matches that we may not have considered for this list. And thanks to you, we have done that. And man, that match.
And listen, if you have more suggestions like that, if you want to interact with us and let us know where you would have ranked Misawa Kawada or where you'll rank this match that we're covering here today, don't forget, you can reach out to us on Twitter at LastMatchCast. Facebook is the same way. You can also email us at lastmatchstanding@gmail.com. So there's plenty of different ways to interact with us. You can also join us on Patreon, where you can get awesome exclusive content like Last Mania Standing, where we rank all the WrestleManias, as well as really awesome trivia challenges, which we're about to drop, one of the best ones I think we've ever done, and also our All Elite Wrestling Crawl, Welcome to the Elite. So plenty of fun stuff there, plenty of ways for you to interact with us, and listen, bring it on. We're ready.
That's why we're here.
Walter versus Tyler Bate. Guys, I've been petitioning for this match ever since I saw it live 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This one is just one of the most perfect little guy versus big guy stories ever told. And that's not because of all the cliches, but in spite of them. Walter is not a big guy. I mean, physically, he is. Well, he's going to fucking bust through the door. What do you mean? No, I mean, he doesn't wrestle like you may think at first glance.
No, he does not. He's
a wrestler. He's got black boots, black trunks, no elaborate gimmicks. He's just a straightforward, in-your-face style.
And he's got a jaw that can, like, break through solid granite.
He seriously does. His list of moves, they may not be over-the-top, complex, but they're efficient and effective.
He's the thinking man's wrestler.
And you can say the same thing about Tyler Bate. He's the same type of wrestler in a lot of ways, right?
He's just half the size.
Despite being the smaller size, Paul, Bate is known for his strength and his power.
Shows it off here.
And he's also known for making the airplane spin sexy again.
Hey,
I love the airplane spin.
gotta love it. The last time it was that sexy might have been Eugene. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Undoubtedly.
No?
Drool and everything.
Nick Dinsmore, if you're going to be at Squared Circle Expo, we will interview you as well, sir. Please DM me.
And I want to take that airplane spin.
If you would like to see a full list of wrestlers we want to interview, go to Last Match Standing.
They're all going to be at Squared Circle Expo.
But Landon, you're absolutely right. Walter Tyler Bate, it is almost exactly the perfected big man David versus Goliath, but also almost opposite of that in a weird way, right? It's sort of has a duality about it.
It really does.
Yeah, that is just really fascinating to watch and cover.
So the build for this one starts in 2017 when a 19-year-old Tyler Bate wins the inaugural WWE United Kingdom Championship.
Still one of the best moments.
Oh, my God.
I mean, regardless of promotion, regardless, whatever, like that was a wrestling moment.
Oh, yeah.
And, that tournament as a whole was great. And to have Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, those stars being built in that moment.
So the whole point of tournaments is it's an opportunity to tell a story that's going to build up one, two, or several characters throughout the course of the tournament. And I don't think any tournament throughout the course of WWE's history has done a better job of doing just that than the UK Championship tournament.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, normally when we say things like that, like this is the best thing WWE has done in this instance, there's not a lot of competition there. But when you consider the Cruiserweight Classic and the Mae Young Classics, like they put on some pretty solid tournaments. But I would agree with you that this UK tournament might have been the best of them all in terms of establishing something that you can work with moving forward.
It was, because it was just incredible to follow Tyler Bates' journey from the beginning. I mean, this is a 19-year-old kid. This is a kid. And he was going through and beating some of the most established names in the United Kingdom wrestling world. And it was just incredible to watch. I mean, considering that win makes him not only the youngest inaugural champion, but the youngest singles champion in WWE history.
Yeah, they got to say singles because of Nicholas.
Fucking Nicholas. Sorry, kid. We have discussed his incredible matches with Pete Dunne on the show before. We have a whole episode on it. But fast forward to April 2019, NXT TakeOver New York, Pete Dunne's incredible 680-day reign as WWE United Kingdom champion comes to a shocking end at the hands of the monster, Walter. At this point in his career, Walter had he's pretty much been at the top of every independent promotion around the world.
Yeah.
Most notably, the German promotion, West Side Extreme Wrestling, where he had legendary battles with names like Zack Sabre Jr., El Generico, Tommy End. While in Progress Wrestling, Walter, alongside stablemates Axel Dieter Jr. and Timothy Thatcher, who, by the way, as an aside, if you have not seen a Timothy Thatcher match, stop what you're doing right now and go watch one.
It's a very
I
British
fucking
name.
love that guy. They challenged British Strong Style, who is, of course, Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate. This was back in Progress well before this match, and that match was for all their gold.
Yeah, I love that.
Always
we
a fun.
basically saw that match again, only they threw in Undisputed Era, and it was in War Games.
Right.
That was a lot of fun.
Stateside, Walter joined Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, where he had a 5-star classic with Ricochet. If you haven't seen that one, oh my God. This guy's just 5-time world champion, renowned, absolutely sort of almost coming from the opposite side of where Tyler Bate was coming from. He's new. He's still establishing himself. He's just like, at this point, 21 years old?
He's 21, and Walter is 31.
So after Walter defeats Pete Dunne, he forms the Imperium stable alongside Fabian Eichner, Marcel Bartel, and Alexander Wolf. This stable is a beautiful nod to his previous stable, Ringkampf. And he even used the same theme song, the beautiful Symphony No. 9.
I love how, like, when they're interviewing him for this match, he's wearing the Ringkampf shirt.
He is wearing the Ringkampf
And I'm like,
shirt.
oh, you cheeky fucker. He's wearing the shirt from a different company.
Throughout the summer, this is just extremely brutal faction. You saw the systematic dissection of British Strong Style. Pete Dunne goes down. Trent Seven goes down. And we are down to Tyler Bate. When Tyler Bate won the UK Championship, he was in disbelief. He was still trying to figure out who he was, how talented he was, what it meant to be a champion. He was young. After losing the belt to Dunne, he had time to develop. He had 2 years to fine-tune his natural talent and grow into the man that he is for this match. In the build-up here, Walter just decimates Bate's friends.
Oh, he kills everybody, yeah.
Which only drives Bate that much more to make it back to the top of that mountain. No pun intended.
I was going to say literally because, Walter is a mountain.
And I love here that not only is this a story of Imperium versus British Strong Style, but it's also a story about Walter thinking that what he does is professional wrestling.
It is.
And what Tyler Bate does is not.
I love that because when you get these really great, like Walter, like he's jogging in like the border of Germany and Amsterdam, and he's just talking about, I am a wrestler. Tyler Bate is not a wrestler. He's just I forget the exact verbiage there, but he's basically describing what that is. It's flashy. It's not wrestling. And the fact that people don't respect me, I'm embarrassed.
Well, the thing is, though, people do respect him. Like, a lot of people latch onto that idea. I have heard that argument across the globe for years now.
Well,
it's like
I've,
what so many of these people are doing on the indies is not wrestling. So it's easy for people to latch on to Walter, and he has a huge fan base.
Now, I've heard bitter old men complain about it and going, it's killing the business. Wink. But it's great to see somebody go, all right, I'm going to take that attitude, but then I'm going to do it in a wrestling ring.
Yep, and it works so well.
That's why it works so well, because he's tapping into actual bitter older fans that don't like this newer flashy style.
Well, I think, to be fair, I think that there's also a portion of wrestling fans that are not older, right,
Yeah.
that feel very, very similarly.
I like Walter. He is like this beautiful hybrid of like what wrestling is, quote, supposed to be, but he still does do some of the flashier things because he's like, he probably just likes doing it, or he like, this will get a big reaction if I do this, but if I also slow it down, I'll get another reaction.
No, I don't know. I think he does a really good job of selling exactly what he preaches.
Yeah.
And be honest, so is Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate in this match, he holds back when he needs to.
I feel like at one point on commentary during this match, and we'll talk about that a little bit.
I've got a point about commentary.
Yeah, they reference Stan Hansen.
Thank you.
And I just think that's perfect because when I watch a Walter match, I feel like I'm going backwards in time a little bit, but in the best way.
It does help that he does a lariat that would make Stan Hansen blush in this match.
That is true. That is true.
He did that, and I'm like, oh, because they were making the comparisons, and he did that. I'm like, oh, he must have heard them.
Yeah.
Because he fucking kills him with that lariat.
But whether it's Walter saying the actual words or, you imagine in your mind maybe someone from the 60s, 70s, 80s saying it, when Walter talks about Tyler Bate in the build-up to this match, he says what Tyler Bate is trying to make professional wrestling become is embarrassing.
Yes, thank you. That was the verbiage.
Embarrassing, right? So Walter is here not only to defend his UK championship, but to keep the course of British professional wrestling the way he wants it to go. And I think that's incredible. I think that's an incredible story that these guys are not just fighting over what at this point has become a prestigious title, based off of some of the best title reigns in WWE history over the last 15, 20 years plus. But they're also sort of fighting for the fate of British professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
It feels like.
The stakes could not be higher.
I'm so happy you mentioned that because while I was watching the build-up and watching the match, and I'm like, this feels like Infinity War.
I could see
Walter
that.
is Thanos. He's taken out everybody else, and the only one left is Tyler Bate, who's standing in for Captain America here. And like, well, surely you can't stop him, but he's gonna try.
Well, I've got to say that as we get into this match, as we cover it, we really appreciate our listeners from across the pond and those that are in the UK. And I would love for you guys to reach out to us and tell us how you felt in the moment, and then now, obviously, a year and a half later or so. Like, did this feel like an epic clash about British professional wrestling? Right? Did we miss something? What was this match to you? Because to us, from this perspective, it was a massive, massive deal.
Yes, 2 men, 10 years of age difference, 2 vastly different styles, 2 countries, 1 title.
In Cardiff.
NXT UK TakeOver. On commentary, we have Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness. Let me tell you something. So good.
Oh, yes.
Oh, they were top notch. A lot of people say that the TakeOver Cardiff, that particular show, was one of the best that NXT as a whole has ever done. And I think the commentary has a lot to do with it.
And I normally do the commentary breakdown at the end, but I'll do it right now. So we've heard like Corey Constantine say, if a referee's doing a good job, you don't notice him. Same thing for commentary. I didn't notice them because they were like they blended in with what I was watching. I heard them. I was taking it in, but I wasn't focusing on them.
Well, they're help painting the broad strokes.
Exactly.
Right? They are giving you the story throughout the match and just helping you sort of connect dots.
Yeah, they did such a good job. I didn't
So
notice
good.
them. And I'm like, that's what a good commentary should do. You shouldn't be focusing on them. They're just making the moments a little bit bigger, and they're trying to tell stories. So I'm like, that's what commentary is supposed to do. Commentary is not supposed to talk about fucking apps for 35 fucking minutes straight.
Nigel McGuinness continuing to be one of the only people that have sat both behind the desk and been in the ring on our list. And I think that's really, really fun.
Good point.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's really, really cool. Vic Joseph, I think, does a great job as well.
He really does.
I think he does a really, really good job. The official for this match, the referee, is Joel Allen, of course, as I'm sure you all expected.
First time in the pod?
Yeah, first time on the pod,
Hey,
Joel Allen.
welcome, Joel.
Well, it's
we'll put you
Walters.
right next to
It's-
Ian Bradley. It's gonna be,
I actually just went back and re-listened to that match.
that's good.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
It's good.
Fucking love British wrestling.
Okay, guys, shall we get there? Shall we
Oh, yeah.
relive Walter, Tyler Bate?
I can't wait.
Let me tell you, Tyler Bates' entrance always gets me
Love it.
going. You know, like the wave, the song is perfect, but Walter is a whole nother story.
It is probably, if you don't know what this character is, you can watch his entrance and go, okay, I get it.
Yep. Just, the white background
I love
when
it.
it initially starts, just him standing there.
Silhouette. You can't even see him. You just see a silhouette, and he's standing there with his coat on.
And I think the music and the entrance video it's a perfect example of it's perfect for him because that's his wrestling style. That is him. It is simple and effective.
Yeah.
It just works.
It's amazing how you can do so much with so little.
It is.
Well, let me tell you something. This crowd,
It's fucking awesome.
from top to bottom, right? They are all over it the whole time. Not necessarily always on point. There's sometimes their chants are not exactly about what's going on, but that's a British wrestling crowd,
Yeah,
and
it
they're
is.
great for it.
You can
it's a
tell
ton of fun to watch.
You can tell they love Tyler Bate.
You can, and you can tell they love what they're watching in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And they should, rightfully so. This match goes over 42 minutes, actually.
It did not feel like it.
No, not at all. But love it. Give the time it deserves.
Absolutely.
And-
because they were trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
And it needed every second.
None of it felt wasted.
I wouldn't say
Agreed.
they were trying. I'd say they told the story they wanted to tell. And you don't get to see that a whole lot nowadays in modern wrestling, especially anything associated with WWE, because a lot of times I feel like they're not given enough time. They're given too much time, or there's just too much shit going on. But they really, really nailed it.
I love how this one starts.
Yeah.
I do too.
Tyler knows he loses any traditional lockup, right? It's just straight biology. So he goes for a Greco-Roman knuckle lock, and immediately, once it's locked in, he rolls backward to twist Walter's arm.
Smart.
It's so smart. No strength advantage necessary. That being said, even during moments of the match where Walter seems to have the upper hand
Oh my
strength-wise, Tyler Bate is able to hold his own
Yeah.
and live up to that big, strong boy chant.
That's exactly right. And I think the first sort of moment where we see that and realize, oh, wait, Tyler can hang, right?
Yeah.
Is Tyler Bate has to bridge, and Walter jumps
Oh.
on top of him, and Bate continues to hold that bridge.
Oh, my God.
Nuts.
That's
like
not an easy thing to
totally
do.
insane. No, it's like, here's all of my body weight. Good luck. It's
And
insane.
Walter is.
It's 297 pounds.
Yeah, I say
by the
Walter's a
way.
big boy. And I just got to say, there's an amazing meme where it's a picture of like an offensive lineman, and it says, "This is the ideal male. This is what peak performance looks like." I'm going to substitute that for Walter. That is the ideal man. That is peak performance. Soak it in because it's beautiful. That's what I look like without a shirt on, so it's beautiful.
I think...
That's what I look like.
That's
I'm just
good.
not quite that heavy.
in case anyone was trying to picture that, now you have that image, all of our
Yeah.
listeners.
You're welcome.
Just imagine Walter with body hair and a few tattoos.
Are we going to harp on this? Okay.
I'll harp on it just for a moment longer. If I was shirtless, just imagine a gummy bear. Probably the pineapple flavor. That would be me.
Just imagine a slightly smaller version of Walter with hair.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Last match standing has just been canceled.
Yes.
No. All right.
No,
so,
but we're headlining the expo.
Exactly. So I'm going to break another little tradition of mine. Normally, I serve all of
We
my...
have to have gummy bears at our booth.
We
now.
do.
Oh,
You're right.
you sick fuck.
And we got to get. We have to have a thing of thumbtacks.
We have to mix it in with the thumbtacks.
Oh no, dude! I've got a jar of thumbtacks at home. I'll bring it.
This is perfect.
So,
Okay.
oh, go ahead.
No, Paul, I was just gonna say, the brilliant start to this match is, Bate trying to be quick, Walter trying to keep him close, because if you keep Tyler
Yes.
Bate close, he can't be quick and can't run away from
Oh,
you.
yeah.
But we talked about the commentary, and this is, man, Nigel McGuinness, shout out to you, man, right now, because there's a moment in the very early onset where Walter gets a headset locked in, and he's got Tyler Bate on the mat. But Tyler Bate's able to roll over onto his stomach. And Nigel points out, and it's I think it says a lot maybe about wrestling sometimes, or maybe about WWE, is that it's a surprise when things like this are pointed out. But Nigel says, really smart move by Tyler Bate to roll over onto his stomach, because now Walter can't put his weight on Tyler Bate if he's going to keep that.
You can't choke him out either.
Right, exactly. And I just thought, it's reminded me of Mike Tenay
Yes.
a little bit, right? Like, you're telling me why this wrestling move is effective, and why, even though he's still in the move, Bate has countered it in some way, and I thought it was brilliant.
It's almost as if that's how people should call wrestling matches. Just saying. So I'm going to break another little tradition here. So I already kind of gave my commentary point. I'm going to talk about my psychology right now. So you mentioned it just now. Tyler has to keep moving. He's got to chip away. He's got to stay vertical. Walter needs to be patient. He needs to control the pace, and he needs, as you said, he needs to keep Tyler close to him. And he does that by every time they get close, he hits them with what must be the stiffest open palm strikes to the fucking chest.
Oh, my God.
There's a few he does that are just disgusting, and they leave pretty big welts on Tyler Bates' chest.
I'm not sure, and this could be totally debatable and arguable, but does anyone throw a better chop than Walter?
Not right now.
No. So what you need to imagine is this is not a chop, a chop like from a normal meat.
Oh, no, this is an open palm strike.
I need you to close your eyes right now. Do this with me.
Ain't no thigh slapping here.
Close your eyes and imagine getting hit with a tree. That is what it's like to get chopped by Walter.
I just knew you were going to say the frying pan size hand.
No, they're bigger.
It's worse than a frying pan.
This is a frying pan. This is a cast iron
It's a 2x4. God damn it. Jim Duggan. It's
cast iron skillet. It's a skillet, sir.
It's a gummy bear. Wait a minute.
So what I really, really enjoy about this is Walter and Tyler Bate make a side headlock takedown look like the most devastating thing that could happen to you.
Shades of Lorcan and Murphy.
When he locked, well, that's just like you're saying, because he locks in that take and he takes him down, but the way he does it, you're like, oh no, he just took him down for real. That they're not wrestling anymore. These are just two men that hate each other and they're actually fighting.
I believe Tyler Bates' first match in NXT UK, or maybe his first championship match, something like that, was against Oni Lorcan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I bet they probably shared a few notes in the back.
Excellent.
And this is when we get the Walter is a wanker chant.
Well,
as he gets the side headlock takedown and is holding him on the mat. And I feel like he says, I'm a wanker. Okay, I'm going to hold this headlock for another extra minute now. Fuck you.
When we shift out of the headlock, we get our first sort of big sequence of the match. And what basically ends up happening is that Bate is able to slam Walter, right?
Eat your heart out, Hogan.
I love this. So he goes for like the Saito suplex. It's blocked. Walter goes for almost like the backslide. Tyler tries to do the Tyler driver, but Walter just like, no, fuck you, flips him over. And then Bate uses that momentum to just do a big scoop slam, and just stuns him. And Walter has to powder out. I'm like, when's the last time you saw somebody sell a scoop slam like, oh shit, I have to get out of the ring?
Right. Well, it totally took him by surprise.
Yeah, he wasn't expecting it.
And so now that Walter's on the outside of the ring, Bates says, well, this is my chance. I'm gonna dive. Doesn't really work out in his favor. Bate gets caught. He gets chopped to hell, and then
he gets power bombed on the fucking ring apron. Hardest part of the ring, Michael.
The sequence there is a beautiful callback to the build to this match.
Yeah.
When they take out Tyler Bate. Walter took out Tyler Bate while Trent Seven was handcuffed. And what he did was exactly what happens next in this match, was he hit him with that power bomb on the ring apron and then hits him with a power bomb into the ring post.
Oh my God.
That's
2, by the way.
If you didn't know, is a callback to exactly how he took out Mustache Mountain member Trent Seven prior to this feud.
Right. So he did the same thing to Tyler Bate. So this is exactly sort of the setup and the story that, just in case you forgot, it's Imperium versus British Strong Style.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love how they play it like, oh my God, he might be hurt. They send out the medical technician to check on him. And you have Walter basically in the ring going, that's it, call the match. I won. Get him out of here. And then Tyler's like, no, I'm okay. I can keep going. Once again, a very, very little moment. Didn't require any actual wrestling. It was just a little character moment where you're like, that's all you have to do.
Well, there are visuals in this match.
Yeah.
Right? There are tableaus that they paint that help tell this story just by their positioning. So the visual of Tyler lifting Walter on his shoulders for attempting the fireman's carry, and then collapsing.
Yep.
And then also of Walter towering over Tyler Bate, wrenching his arms back with Bate just screaming out is so powerful. Tyler Bate, he's got all the heart in the world here.
Oh, yeah. He tries. I love whenever Walter gets that rear naked choke in and Tyler just throws this really wild haymaker, which I think legitimately did stun Walter. I don't think he was expecting to take that shot to the side of the head. And then you said it, Bate tries to pick him up, and he just collapses. And so Walter just says, all right, fine, and he locks in like a modified STF.
And there's another really strong commentary moment here because Bate tries to go for another suplex. Like, he's trying to lift Walter repeatedly. And Nigel McGuinness is not playing the dumb commentator, right? He's like, I don't understand why Tyler Bate would do this. Like, I really can't wrap my head around why he would try to lift Walter. And he says there must be a loss of oxygen to his brain. It's making him think that he can do this when he can't. And again, like, it's so small. But to explain that to a viewer that might be thinking the same thing, like, why the hell? Like, he's obviously way bigger than you, man. Like, you need to stop trying to lift him. That little small note from Nigel is just good enough.
By the way, have you ever heard a bigger pop for a vertical suplex?
No.
Huge.
Because they build to it, right? They build to
They
it.
both
A couple failed
attempted.
attempts, and then Bate finally hits that suplex, and
him up.
that crowd loses
And
it.
he holds it for just enough time to go, I got him, and then they go back.
Yeah. And how about the exploder suplex immediately after? Followed up immediately by a running shooting star press.
Goodness gracious.
Tyler Bate is just
Yeah,
unbelievable.
not to mention the beautiful European uppercuts.
Yeah, and listen, what I think is really, really great about that is Vic Joseph says these uppercuts are great, but I think for every one of Walter's punches, that counts for about 3 of Tyler Bate's.
Yeah.
And so that Bate has to work really, really hard to sort of level the playing field in terms of offense.
Well, just getting Walter off of his feet is taking too much effort out of him.
I fully agree. And just when you think Bate has all the momentum, Walter hits this drop kick to the back.
A drop kick
From Walter.
From the 300-pounder.
Well, if you noticed, Tyler tweaked his back, and Walter sees it and immediately lower back drop kick.
Yep,
Right lower back.
laser focused.
Oh, and then
And if
Good
you're gonna
God.
try and limit someone from using power moves, where else would you go?
lower
Yep.
back. And I love this because then he attempts a power bomb, but Tyler reverses it into what I'm just going to call a sunset flip power bomb.
It was a flying sunset flip.
By the way,
It
we're
was
up to 3
insane.
now. They only have one more to tie Hokuto and Toyota.
Oh my God.
In case you're keeping score at home.
Oh, I am.
That moment where Walter, a 7-foot man, maneuvers his way to the top rope.
God.
And not only does Tyler Bate levitate off the ground to nail him with a headbutt, but Bate also leaps up there and delivers an avalanche exploder suplex.
Oh, that was fucking gorgeous.
Absolutely insane.
But what
I mean, at this point, I'm losing my mind.
But you got to remember, before that, Tyler tries to superplex him, and Walter just, once again, that open palm right to the sternum and knocks him back down. And then we get my favorite moment. Tyler's a big fucking headbutt, and then he grabs the hand, and you can see Walter go, no, and he breaks the fingers.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's sort of a really great callback to his British strong style partner, right, in Pete Dunne. And it's a really nice reference to him at that point. But after the exploder suplex, which has everyone shaking to their core off
Including
the
me.
top, right? Bate is trying to keep his offense up. Walter's going for chops. They're sort of trading blows.
Oh, this is
Bate
my favorite
finally
entire fucking
hits.
match.
Bate finally hits his big, strong left hand, which, by the way, is like Mark Jindrak's level of devastating.
What is it like? His 2 hands are named Bip and Bop? What is it?
Yeah, something like that.
He does, because he throws him up there.
This
He
is-
throws him up there.
Uh-huh.
This is my favorite moment. He hits it, and then Walter lands on him.
Walter falls onto the back of Tyler Bate.
And I'm just sitting there going like,
What a moment.
how you going to pin him right there? And you can't even get him off. I'm like, there you go.
I absolutely loved that.
Because Walter went out. He could, if he could have gotten the pinfall, I'm pretty sure he would have gotten it right there. But like, you can't pin him if he's on top of you like that.
And a little bit after this, Bate goes for the fireman's carry again. And this time, he holds him up for the airplane spin and a burning hammer.
Oh, when's the last
on a
time?
300-pound man. I've never seen a burning hammer on a 300-pound man.
When's the last time you saw one in WWE?
Never.
God.
Never, because it looked too similar to the AA, so it was banned.
Which I would have told you that this was simply impossible to do.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it.
And then you get one of my favorite moments here, the delayed German suplex.
Another move. And see, this is something that they've done several times throughout this match, right? We're about 40 minutes in. He's taken a beating. And Tyler Bate has gone for moves. We talked about him going for the suplex early on, going for the German suplex, going for the Tyler Driver 97 or 98, 97?
97.
Early on in the match.
You're thinking of Kenny Omega, the Tiger Driver.
98. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad. Right, but he goes for these things earlier in the match and then finally hits them at certain points along the way. What a journey.
Well, and it speaks to the resiliency of Tyler Bate. You want to ask why people love Tyler Bate. It's because of stuff like that, right? Even after taking a beating, he pulls off these Cesaro-esque moments, right, that are just larger than life in terms of what you think he's going to be capable of.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I love is that he didn't just hit the Tyler Driver. He goes for it. It's reversed into a backslide. And that's whenever Walter jumps on him, but he holds the bridge. And you're like, how the fuck is he doing that? And then he finally hits the Tyler Driver, but Walter kicks out.
Nigel McGuinness, I'm losing my mind.
Me too, Nigel.
It says what
I'm
we're
losing
all
my
thinking.
mind here. How is
Yes.
Tyler Bate doing this?
That's pretty good, Nigel.
I
I've
liked it.
practiced Nigel.
I liked it.
And so Walter kicks out. So Tyler Bate does the spiral tap. And I'm like, I've only really seen 3 people do that.
After nearly 40 minutes of Walter beating down and breaking away at the spirit of Tyler Bate, he finally hits the Tyler Driver, and it's not enough.
No.
And that moment, you sort of the air just completely escapes
Leaves, yeah.
the
Tyler
entire arena.
Then takes off his wrist tape and resorts to bare knuckle boxing. But I don't think he was expecting what happened, because Walter chops the shit out of him with those repeated open palm strikes and then gets that rear naked choke in.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
And then Tyler stands up with Walter on his back.
Oh my God, that moment. It's just like after everything that he's gone through, he still has the power with what you've got to believe is a bruised or broken back at this point.
Oh, yeah. But whenever he just slams that onto his back, but Walter just locks it right back in. And I love that because Bate tries to I didn't realize what he was doing until he stepped over the top rope, and he basically pulls Walter over. But Walter doesn't let go of the hold. He still has him in this hold. And then the fucking cravat suplex.
Oh my God.
On the apron. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it.
It's gorgeous.
This is over. Tyler's done. So we get a really big splash that didn't need to be done. Another 2 count. And
Nigel
then-
McGuinness says, I will never forget this match as long as I
Neither
live.
will I.
Oh, the reaction from the crowd when Tyler kicks out of the splash. And also kicks out at one when he receives a...
Tying Toyota and Hokuto for 4 power bombs. 4.
Kicks out at one.
And that's
from
when-
a package powerbomb.
Bate kicks out at 1, which, by the way, it was one of the stiffest power bombs I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Bate kicks out at 1, and he starts to stand up, and Vic Joseph says, Tyler Bate, the man, is standing up to you, Walter.
But
Chills.
he stands up to a fucking lariat. Good. That's not a clothesline.
Eat your heart out, Stan Hansen.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell was this? It was the most vicious thing I think I've ever seen in a wrestling ring.
This is like Stan Hansen, Undertaker, Kane, JBL. Put them all 4 of them together.
And that was enough to seal it for the Austrian Brute.
42 minutes, 12 seconds of one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time.
And what I think makes this so important, and so it's not only a great match, It's a great story, and it's an important story. And I think part of the reason is the good guy doesn't always have to win.
I actually really enjoyed
for
that.
it to be a great story.
Yeah, like the match was booked as if, Tyler's going to overcome. And so when he loses, you're like, oh.
But we still loved every minute of it.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like sitting there going like, that's probably the smartest move they could have done. Is everyone knows, well, surely Tyler Bate's going to beat him. He's going to beat him. No, he doesn't. He loses. And you sit there going like, wow, that actually makes the whole thing kind of that much more special.
Well, it does, because you see his growth, right?
Yeah.
You see the moment where he becomes a man and he's finally figured out who he is and that he belongs there. And no, he doesn't win on this occasion, but
No.
you still have that great moment for Tyler Bate.
Exactly, yeah. Well, just him taking the wrist tape off or standing up after that power bomb, and you're like, all right, here we go.
You make the winner look like a champion, and you make the loser look like a winner.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they got a fucking standing ovation after this match.
Obviously, yeah.
They earned it.
I think they got a standing ovation around the world, even if they weren't in the arena.
They got one for
it
me.
was just...
I stood up and I was like, that was good. I don't care if anybody was in the room with me. I was like, that was good shit. So, we do favorite moments, but this is one of those times where I'm like, no, because I feel like just watch the whole match.
Pretty much. I mean, the cravat suplex.
Oh,
Yeah.
on the
Gorgeous.
ring apron too.
But I think my favorite moment is every time, it's several, but it's every time that Tyler Bate goes back to a move that he tried earlier and then hits it.
Mm-hmm.
Finally getting the Tyler driver.
Or when he gets the airplane spin and he does the burning hammer, I'm like, there we go.
Yeah.
I think the kickouts for me in those key moments when you just think, no way, these guys are still going. And it was different. Like, it's not like a Goldberg, Lesnar, I've hit 3 spears and you're still kicking out. Like, that's not what it is. It's I've hit different moves that should be enough to put you away, and they haven't been. And that tells a very different story in such a good way, because it doesn't say, hey, what you're doing is too weak. It says, I am too strong.
Yeah, you can't keep me down. And I really like that, which speaks to the psychology of the match.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of those times where I had to remind myself, you're watching wrestling. You're not watching UFC. You're not watching Bellator. You're watching wrestling. They did such a good job of convincing me that they were really trying. They're really fighting. And I do put a lot of that on the way they were calling the match, because they were talking about how important the moves are. They were talking about how, what's Tyler doing here? This isn't going to work. He needs to resort to a different style of offense, but he just keeps, fighting on and wants to do it his way. I honestly think that's why he lost, because he wanted to prove that he was strong enough to slam Walter. Like, that's not how you win matches. You win matches by sticking to your game, and so psychology-wise, that's why he lost. Now, as far as the chemistry goes, I mean, just watch the fucking match.
Yeah,
I don't want to write another textbook, but like, seriously, like, I feel like this match looked effortless. Like, not effortless like they weren't trying, effortless like they could have this match blindfolded, and it still would have been as good. They could have had this match with like their feet tied together, and it still would have been as good.
They could have gone another 42 minutes.
Oh,
and it would have
yeah.
been just as interesting.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have gotten tired or bored, because they would have found a way to keep it engaging. And then, like I said, commentary was so good I didn't even fucking notice it.
And I actually would like to disagree with that a little bit, because I think it was good enough that I had to notice it.
Well, what I meant by that was just
I know what you mean.
Focusing on it. I was focused on the match, and a lot of times, even when the commentary is really good, sometimes it'll pull me out of it, and I'll be like,
But they did nothing but elevate it.
Right.
exactly. That's what I was going for. Like, I didn't stop focusing on the match to listen to them. They were constantly there, making the moments seem that much more important. Or, like you said, the almost Mike Tenay, like, explaining why that's important, why this is how you get out of the submission, why you want to do this or don't do that. I'm like, thank you for reminding me that wrestling can be fun and engaging.
Well, I am personally not looking forward to this part.
Oh, I am.
Because, I mean, as we know, this gets harder every time, but there's just,
Not
this
for me.
match is a lot. And I could see it going a lot of different ways, but it is in fact time to rank Walter versus Tyler Bate. on our list of the greatest wrestling matches of all time.
I haven't gone first in a while.
Okay.
So I'm going to take it. It's easy to be drawn into the Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate match.
Yep.
I think
exactly
that's the
where I was going with
easiest
this.
thing to do. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start around 16, which is John Cena versus Shawn Michaels. It's brilliantly paced. It's about 40 minutes, and it draws you in. And we saw some excellent counter moves, counter wrestling in that match. And even though the match is on the longer side, I was never bored.
No.
And I could say that for both of them. But the story that this one tells goes far above and beyond, I feel,
absolutely.
what Cena and Michaels were able to accomplish.
Well, Cena and Michaels wasn't like this big personal blood feud. It wasn't like you've taken out my friends. No, I have to stop this. It's more like I beat you at WrestleMania, but I think if we do this again, you'll probably beat me, you crafty old veteran.
Well, and it's the journey of the boy turning into the man. You know, it's like that in being able to tell a classic story such as David versus Goliath, but in a new way.
Well, like for that match, it's like, what, a 32-year-old versus a 41-year-old?
Yeah,
Whereas
it's so
here
different. And it's great. It's a technical masterpiece.
Yeah.
But this one, for me, is
It's
the
a
new
19-year-old kid.
The new number 16 for me.
Yeah.
The new number 16. Paul?
Yeah. No, that's roughly. Literally my ceiling was going to be around there. My floor was going to be like this. This reminded me of the Heavenly Pillars, but it's just I don't know what was missing from it. Maybe it was just that amazing Japanese crowd. These guys are pretty good too. But yeah, no, I would go right at number 16 as well.
Man, I was so worried coming into this ranking, but previously, as I was ranking it myself ahead of time, I had put myself in the 12 to 16 range.
Yeah, that's
and
where I
I
was
couldn't
too.
decide exactly where I wanted to be because I do think, for me, I landed on Samoa Joe CM Punk. Like, that's the one I started comparing myself to. That's also a long match.
Yeah.
I thought about that as well. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are elements of this one that make it better than Punk Joe.
Agreed.
I do like the finish a lot better than Punk Joe.
Yeah.
I think Punk Joe were able to go places, though, that I've never seen anyone go in pro wrestling.
Oh, well, CM Punk and Samoa Joe, their culmination of that feud, they have a 90-minute 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah.
90 minutes. Because they're like, they wanted to have the first ever 2-hour match. And they're like, no, you can't do that.
And I think not putting it over Punk Joe is splitting hairs.
I agree. I mean, but at
I
this
feel like
point, when we get
anywhere-
into that top 20 range, that's what you have to get down to is splitting
You are
hairs.
splitting hairs here.
But you guys are comfortable at 16. I will be happy with 16 as well. I think it's a great comparison to Cena Michaels. I do think they tell two very different stories, and I think that this story is better. So give me Walter versus Tyler Bate at number 16.
And what's amazing, if you look at like that range, that let's say 12 to 17, these are all very, very similar matches. So it is very, very difficult to say why this one's objectively better or objectively worse. But I think at the end of the day, this is all about creating conversations for wrestling fans to enjoy wrestling more.
Mm-hmm.
So if us talking about it makes you want to go watch more wrestling, then that's why we're doing this.
Right. And so that will put this match just above John Cena, Shawn Michaels, just below Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay. I mean, that's some good company to be around.
Yep. More of that British wrestling.
We want to know your thoughts. Was 16 too high? Was it too low? Tell us. We want to know how you feel. What did this match mean to you? You can do that, of course, Twitter, Facebook, at Last Match Cast, or any other way you want to get to know us. Also, don't forget, you could be listening to this on YouTube right now.
You could.
Which we very much appreciate. If you are on our Last Match Standing podcast YouTube channel, feel free to subscribe and click notifications and all that other fun stuff. So,
and if you enjoy this match, you can post either the Imperium theme or the Tyler Bate theme on our Twitter.
yeah, just
let us know how you feel.
Tell us that
and we will dance to both of them.
We will.
Yeah, that might be the even tougher question. Which theme is better?
They're both so good.
Yeah,
and they both explain everything about the wrestler.
Well, we are just loving season 4. Are we in now?
Season 4.
Season 4 so far. I mean, I feel like these matches that we've done so far have just been all-timers, right? And I can't wait to see where we go next. And until then, I'm Spencer.
I'm Paul.
I'm Landon.
And this is Last Match Standing.